Welcome back everyone to another Weather at a Glance video. In today's forecast, we're going to be going over our official summer forecast for 2022, all coming up in just a bit. All right, on our first slide, we're going to be taking a look at that precipitation outlook for this summer season this year. And what we are going to be looking at here is two regions. We're going to be looking at that below average region, which we have two of those down below, and we have our above average region for the northeastern United States, kind of in the Ohio Valley region there. And first, we're going to be talking about the slightly below average region there. We're going to be having a little bit of a trough develop over the southwestern United States. And what that's going to be doing is that's going to be bringing a lot of dry, colder air into the southwestern United States here. And as you can see, setting up over this region, we are going to see a slightly below average region here. And this is generally going to be non-noticeable, because most of these regions are usually dry around this time of year, especially in the summer seasons going into the fall, just before monsoon season. We have these dry conditions setting up, but this year we may see a little bit of slightly below average precipitation across these regions, and that is because of that trough that we're going to be talking about. That trough is going to be swinging down from the northwest, bringing colder air through the region, and that's also going to be preventing really a lot of any rainfall coming into the southwestern United States here, and that's going to be causing exceptionally dry conditions across these regions. Some of these regions throughout the summer months coming ahead will likely not see any precipitation. Throughout Arizona, into western New Mexico, and across portions of Nevada, you guys likely will not see any precipitation throughout the entire summer season. So as you can see, there are a lot of dry conditions going on across the southwestern United States, a little bit more than average. We're seeing a little bit of slightly below average activity here, but nothing too extreme. All right, now as we move into the southeastern United States, we also have that peaking ridge that's going to come up throughout much of the southeastern United States, and we're going to see that high pressure ridge over throughout the southeastern United States here. And what that's going to be causing is more dry conditions down here, as the low pressure systems will likely stay northward up into this slightly above average region up here, but down here in the southeast United States, we likely will see a bit of a decrease in precipitation due to that ridge over there. So we're going to be seeing a lot of those low pressure systems kind of trek up northward here. We're going to see those lows, and those are going to be headed up northward through the northeastern United States in the Ohio Valley, and that's going to be providing a lot of precipitation for these areas up here in the north. But down here into the southeastern United States, we're going to be seeing kind of a lack in precipitation. So that's also going to be another cause down here. Now, as you can see, southern Florida is not going to be included in this, and that is due to that subtropical jet stream that's going to be providing a little bit of rainfall there. There's going to be a lot of moisture down here and a lot of rainfall, likely just summertime convective storms, and that will be happening up here in the northern areas, but we will see a little bit more activity down in southern Florida, and I do believe that this area will stay about average, and these northern areas here in the southeast United States will be staying just slightly below average. Nothing too noticeable, but we will be seeing a little bit of a lack in precipitation for those areas too. All right, now moving into the final region on our map, we're going to be taking a look at this fairly large, slightly above average precipitation region here. And this is going to be including much of the western Great Lakes area, the Ohio Valley, and some portions of the central United States. So this is going to stretch even as far south as Tennessee, and these areas are going to be within that region of that jet stream that we were talking about. So I'll give you a little look at what the jet stream is going to look like here, and we're going to take a look at how the jet stream, the polar jet stream, is going to swoop down, kind of form that trough that we were talking about, and then with that upper level divergence, we see a lot of those low pressure systems develop over New Mexico, and then it heads up throughout portions of the northeast and into the Ohio Valley, and that's going to head up this way. So we will see again that high pressure ridge down here, and then we're going to see that low pressure system activity develop kind of over New Mexico due to that upper level divergence, and we're going to see those head up to the northeast and into these areas, and we will be seeing precipitation activity here, but they will not be as developed in the central United States, so that's why we don't have as much above average activity over here, whereas we do over here. We have already seen it throughout the spring, and we are expecting that to continue into the summer months here, and that's why these regions will be expecting some slightly above average precipitation. Again, nothing too noticeable in the United States for precipitation. You likely will not notice any above average or below average precipitation. This is just micro adjustments that we are looking at here, and that's not really going to affect anything, but it is noticeable that we will see a slight change in the precipitation, but nothing too noticeable. We may at times see that ridge develop a little bit more into the central United States, so we may see a little bit of a hike into the central United States, so that could cause some of these low pressure systems to develop up here and carry them down through here. But we will see some more low pressure system activity up in the north central, just not as often as down here over the New Mexico side, and they will be heading up northeast per usual. But that is a look at your precipitation forecast for the summer. All right, now moving on to our next slide, we're going to be taking a look at the temperature side of things. And as you can see, we have a slightly below average region there to the northwest. And to most of the eastern half of the United States, we see a surprisingly large above average region. So we see slightly above average region for most, and then that in the northeast and portions of the Ohio Valley, we see a large above average region. So as you can see here, we are going to be first taking a look at that slightly below average region there. And as you can see, this is including far western portions of the northwestern United States and most of the northwestern United States here. And that's showing this trough development here and how it will keep things fairly cooler across portions of here. Now, you will see near average temperatures, but we will see often slightly below average temperatures as those cold fronts and that trough keeps things cool as those low pressure systems develop. And as you can see, a lot of these areas will be let's say maybe about 5 or so degrees below average at times. So let's say your average temperature around here is 80 degrees. You will maybe see oftentimes down into the 70s, maybe mid 70s. Nothing too noticeable here, but we are going to see maybe a slightly below average trend here for portions of here. So nothing too noticeable, nothing that will throw off your summer, but you will be seeing a little bit of slightly below average activity here. So a little bit of a cooler summer, but at times you will get those peaks of heat where you will be seeing those very hot temperatures. So oftentimes you will be colder, but there will be those momentarily days where you will see peaks in heat, maybe up to the 90s or so. It's always possible with that warm air advection from the Gulf of Mexico and up from the north, that dry air from the desert. So that's always possible for these regions, but we are going to mainly keep things cooler this summer. All right, now moving into our next region here, we are taking a look at that slightly above average region, this very large, slightly above average region. And this goes from portions of the western Great Lakes all the way down into Texas. And then we head up north into the northeastern United States and portions of the Ohio Valley here. Now, as you can see, this is going to be caused by that ridge that we were talking about. So we're going to see that ridge develop. We're going to put it right here, generally right around this region here. And we're going to see that ridge, that high pressure ridge kind of develop over this region. And that's going to force the jet stream to go up around this. So we are going to see that jet stream kind of take a northward trend, and you will be seeing some fairly above average temperatures around here. Now, this is your slightly above average region. So again, nothing too noticeable in this part of the region, but definitely Texas recently has been in a very upward trend in temperatures. Now, the average temperature in Texas around the summertime months is very, very hot. We see maybe 90s, 100 degree temperatures, but this year we are seeing it peak up into sometimes near 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So we are seeing a bit of an increase there. Again, nothing too extreme oftentimes, but we will see those slightly above average temperatures for much of this region. Now, as we move into our next region, which includes portions of the Northeast and the Ohio Valley, we see that above average activity and temperatures. So here you will be experiencing a bit of an increase in heat, and you will likely notice that heat come in. So whereas if you have an average of maybe 75 to 80 degree temperatures throughout much of the region here, you may see oftentimes reaching 90 degrees Fahrenheit or the upper 80s. It's going to be a bit of a warmer summer here for sure. I have seen in the forecasts a lot of these regions from the southeast, including up to the Ohio Valley, you guys could see some low to mid 90s coming here soon in July. That is a possibility with this heat. So keep that in mind. We will see a bit of above average activity here. So you will likely notice the heat change in this region. But as for the rest of the areas, you will likely not notice heat. But in this region, just make sure to stay hydrated throughout the summer. You will still have cool downs. So as the cold fronts move through, as the rain moves through, you will have periods of days of cool downs, maybe about a period of 3 days or so that you may be having a cool down maybe in the 70s. But most of all, you're going to be fairly warm throughout this region. So do expect warmer conditions throughout the summer months here as we move into mid-June, into July, and in August. You're going to be seeing a lot of those warmer temperatures. So just make sure you are taking the precautionary measures this summer throughout these regions as it will be hotter. Make sure that you are staying hydrated and just taking the basic precautionary measures to staying healthy throughout the heat. All right, now on our next slide, we're taking a look at that severe storms region. So this region is defining where you will likely see the most severe weather activity this summer. Now, of course, severe weather will occur outside of this region, but not as intense. We're talking about the main severe weather events this summer. So, of course, throughout the southeast United States with that instability, you will still see severe thunderstorm warnings, maybe a tornado warning or two, but nothing too extreme. So the main region for all of this severe weather will be up here, likely within this region. So in this first shade, this first region, we are going to be talking about just general severe weather here, maybe a tornado or two somewhere within this region. Oftentimes, you will be seeing mostly QLCS-style systems and mesoscale convective systems. We're going to be seeing those type of systems come through this region. Generally, just lines of rain. We're not going to be talking about too much of a big event, just mainly lines of rain that will bring potential severe weather. As those cold fronts push through, we're going to be seeing some potential tornadoes come through the region. That is always possible with these type of events, especially with the wind shear picking up around these regions and that instability moving up from the Gulf of Mexico. That is always possible around this time of year. So nothing too out of the ordinary. This is going to be your typical La Nina summer where we're going to be seeing the severe weather up here. But nothing too extreme for this first shade. Now, as we move into the second shade, this darker shade, which is our final shade here, we are going to be looking at some increased severe weather. We have seen a derecho this year so far, and we likely could see another one this year somewhere within this region, more than likely over here in the north central United States. That's kind of where these develop, but it could carry out through much of this region, and that's why you see this kind of belt motion come down through here, because these derecho-style storms can start up here with that cold front. They kind of develop here, and a very strong line and a bowing effect could develop along here, and it could continue down throughout much of this area and even down into portions of the Ohio Valley, into the portions of Ohio and Pennsylvania. That could continue down to there, but we're likely going to keep those tile storms up here in this portion of the severe weather area. Now, for the rest of this region, you can generally expect just general severe weather. It will be on the stronger side, especially up into the Great Lakes region here, as that warm air advection meets that colder air from the north. So do keep that in mind. These regions will likely be seeing a lot of that severe weather this season. All right, and on our final slide here, we're looking at our overall forecast for the summer season of 2022. Now, up here, as always, we're going to start in the northwestern United States here, and here you can expect mild conditions throughout the summer here. This is going to be including portions of Oregon, Idaho, western Montana, and all of Washington. So you're generally going to be expecting warm and mild conditions around this region. Not too much rainfall. You will be still getting your average rainfall. Basically, everything will be average within this region. So it's going to be a very nice region here. So potentially slightly below average temperatures for more of the northern areas here. But generally, you're going to be expecting everything to be average, and it's going to be a very nice, mild region this year. Now, in our next region, we're taking a look at that dry region, which consists of portions of most of the western United States. This includes fairly much of California into Arizona, and including Utah and Nevada and portions of southern Idaho here. So we're going to keep things dry around here. Along the coast of California, where things may be a little bit of, we may see a little bit of moisture there. You may see some showers, some convective showers, but generally weak, nothing too very strong there. So not a lot of rainfall for this region. And all over, you're just going to be seeing barely any rainfall here. So there's going to be very dry conditions. It's not going to be too hot here. So you will still be seeing about your average temperatures throughout much of this region here. Into Utah, you may see some of those slightly below average temperatures, but really nothing too extreme here. We're going to be seeing drier conditions and just general kind of average conditions here. It's always usually dry around the summer in these regions, but it will still be drought type conditions here, so do keep that in mind. All right, now into our region down here from the far southwestern United States, including Arizona and California, all the way up into the north central United States, we are looking at this fire danger region. Now, within this region, this does not mean you are going to see a wildfire this season. This just means that the conditions within this region are going to be very active this summer for wildfire conditions. We are going to see a lot of that in the New Mexico and Arizona areas, and then western Texas is in an exceptional drought this season, and with those peaking hot temperatures that we have been seeing reaching the 90s and 100-degree Fahrenheit range, we are expecting a lot of potential fire danger activity going on around this area. So you want to be keeping mindful this summer. Make sure that if it is a type of fire danger day, do not have any fires outdoors. Keep those flames away from any dry brush, and just generally practice fire safety within this region. You know, fires can start from brush rubbing up together, so it's not always a human aid activity here. It's more of just taking precautionary measures. Just make sure that you are taking those precautionary measures throughout the summer to make sure that you are not going to be the cause of one of those wildfires this season. Within this region, we will be expecting hot temperatures and windy conditions as well. So the wind from that jet stream, the overhead jet stream, we will be seeing a lot of surface winds rushing through these areas as usual throughout the western United States here. We do see a lot of windy conditions here, and into eastern Colorado and southeastern Wyoming, all these areas will be likely to have a couple of wildfires. Maybe down here in the south, we will see multiple. There is a lot of potential for those wildfires to fuel this summer. So make sure that you are paying attention to that and keeping weather aware for the fire danger this season. All right, now in our next region here, we're taking like that warm region, and this region likely sounds very nice to most of you, and that is going to be because it's going to be very similar to the mild region, only here it will be slightly warmer than the mild region. So we will be seeing those 70s, 80s, even up into the 90s at times. Now, these are more mountainous regions, so this is going to be a hard region to forecast for any single individual because you may live in a valley or you may live up on higher elevation, which will likely be receiving colder temperatures. So keep that in mind when you're listening to this forecast. Now, for the valleys and areas like that, throughout anywhere from Montana all the way down to New Mexico, these areas will be likely experiencing 80 to 90 degree temperatures, more in the southern regions here, but up here into Montana, we could see those 70s and 80s up there. Now, in the higher elevations, maybe those are more 60 to 70 degree temperatures, even possibly colder than that during nightfall. But anyway, here you can see generally warm conditions. It's not going to be too hot, but it's generally going to be warm and nice. So this is going to be a nice region as well for the summer. We're going to be keeping things more dry for this region, though. Again, we are going to be seeing slightly below average activity for the temperatures here. So again, if you typically see about 80 or 90 degree temperatures, you will still see those at times throughout the summer, but not as often with those slightly below average temperatures. So keep that in mind. Now, for that trough again that we were just talking about, this is going to be keeping things fairly dry for this region, so you may see a little bit of decreased activity here. Again, the fire danger doesn't end with this region down here, so keep that in mind for these mountainous regions, all of the state parks. Make sure that you are practicing fire safety throughout all times of the summer, because there will likely be droughts at times with this decreased precipitation that's been going on. Any hot day that comes through this season could bring the potential for fire danger, so keep that in mind. All right, on our next region, we're taking a look at that hot region here. So this goes from southern Texas all the way up into the central Great Plains here. And this is going to be a region that you are going to be experiencing the heat from, the brunt of the heat this season. We're going to be seeing 90 degree temperatures all the way up to potentially 100 degree temperatures here throughout this summer. This is a region that you definitely want to watch that heat for. Even if you are used to those hot temperatures, you want to be careful this season. Even down to this hurricane region down here, you will still be experiencing those very hot temperatures this summer, so keep that in mind. Again, as we were talking about before, this is going to be in that slightly above average temperature region, and that is going to be due to the typical summer heat around here is usually around 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but we will be seeing some increased activity, and we could see some 110 degree Fahrenheit temperatures anywhere around that. That is all possible this summer with that heat, so keep that in mind. All right, on our next region, we'll take a look at that severe storms region. Now, this region here will be, again, the brunt of where those severe weather style systems will be moving through. We will see those low pressure systems trek through here and bring strong cold fronts through into that area that is impacted by the warm air advection from the Gulf of Mexico, and this region will likely be experiencing the brunt of the severe weather throughout the summer season. So as you can see here, this includes portions anywhere from Montana throughout the northern Great Plains into the western Great Lakes. Now, the Ohio Valley will still be included in this, but throughout this is the main severe storms area. This is where most of your summer will be impacted by severe storms. We will see maybe about once a week to maybe even a couple times a week, we may see a couple severe storms move through the region. So keep that in mind as we move through the summer seasons, as the heat increases and those cold Arctic air masses continue to move down into the United States with those cold fronts. Keep in mind and watch out for severe weather as we move into the summer. All right, now into our next region, we're taking a look at that thunderstorms region. So this area will still have severe weather, as we talked about. Some of these areas into the northern portions of this region are included in that severe storms region that we were talking about before on our severe weather map there. But here you will generally be expecting just thunderstorms, maybe a couple of those severe, but you will be experiencing a lot of stormy conditions throughout the summer. Rain, we talked about storms. So there's going to be some stormy conditions throughout most of the regions here, and that will be your typical summer conditions. You will still have a lot of nice sunny days, but do expect some stormy conditions to move through, and that's going to be due to that warm air advection and that unstable atmosphere interacting with that cold air mass that moves through. So this will be the continued version of the severe storms region. So this will be the continued version, a little bit less intense than the severe storms region, but you will still be experiencing that severe storm activity and just overall thunderstorm activity. All right, in our next region, we take a look at that unstable region here. So this is similar to the thunderstorms region, but this will be likely, at times, we will not see thunderstorms developing with this instability. We will just mainly see a lot of humidity and hot air around this region. So we will see a lot of high temperatures up to the 90s and maybe even at times low 100s as we move into July. So you do expect that there's going to be a lot of heat and a lot of moisture down here. It could be uncomfortable at times due to that humidity across this region, so keep that in mind during the summer times. Make sure you're staying hydrated and make sure you're definitely watching the heat. This is going to be a big factor this summer, is the heat that's going to be moving in, so keep that in mind. It's going to be a hot summer for most, so keep that in mind. But down here, you will still see thunderstorm development, and at times, there will be severe weather, so keep that in mind. That's why we named it the unstable region, because it is generally going to be a very unstable atmosphere most of the summer for this region. All right, on our next region here, we're taking a look at that hurricane region. So this is going to be your general region for tropical activity. And generally, you will be seeing some hurricane activity and tropical storm activity. The farther you go north, you will likely just simply see tropical activity there. But down here in the south, do keep a watch for that this summer. We are nearing hurricane season, so you have to start being weather aware for those potential systems to move through. In July, we start to see those tropical systems fire up, and even in June, we see those tropical systems come through. But the main time is going to be August through October. That's going to be your main window for these tropical storms, but this still includes the summertime, so keep in mind this summer, just keep weather aware that there will still be those chances for tropical storms to come through, both in the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic coast, as we talked about in our tropical forecast a couple weeks ago. So keep in mind that we will still be seeing that tropical activity in the summer. Not all areas in this region will be experiencing that, so do keep that in mind. This does not mean you're going to see a tropical system move through, but this is just another advisory to keep weather aware throughout the summer and be prepared in case one does move through. All right, and on our next region here, we're taking a look at that Muggy region. So throughout much of these areas, you will be experiencing that humidity both from the Gulf of Mexico and from the Atlantic coast. So these areas will be experiencing a lot of muggy conditions, and as the warm, moist air moves in from the Gulf and the Atlantic, we will be also experiencing a lot of hot temperatures at times and just very high dew points as well. So it's going to be another similar to the unstable, but a little less intense than the unstable region. We're going to be experiencing those muggy conditions, so anywhere from the Smoky Mountain region through southern Appalachia all the way up into these northern areas of northern Appalachia and the northeastern United States. We're going to be experiencing a lot of muggy conditions there, so keep that in mind as we move into the summer months. And on our final region here, we are looking at the rain region. This is for the far northeastern United States, and this is going to be including portions of Maine all the way down to eastern New York here. And as you can see, you are going to be experiencing a lot of rainy conditions. Now, this does not mean if you are a thunderstorm lover and you love those summertime thunderstorms, do not fret. You are still going to be seeing thunderstorm activity, but these storms will likely be a little bit weaker as that colder air kind of intrudes more northward. Now, we will be seeing above average temperatures as we talked about before, but there will still be cold air, a lot of stronger cold air masses moving through, and that will likely impact the region for long periods of time. Maybe a few days at a time. So if those storms do kind of rebound the next day, do keep in mind that it will just be more weaker thunderstorms. We may see a severe weather event or two up in this region, but mostly just rain and thunderstorms for this region. We're going to be seeing a lot of rain activity as those low pressure systems trek northward with that jet stream. So keep that in mind throughout the summer months. You will be experiencing a lot of rainy activity this summer. All right, I want to thank you all so much for watching today's video. I would ask you consider subscribing for more U.S. forecasts free of charge, and I would ask you consider following the Weather at a Glance official Facebook page for more inside information and complimentary personal forecasts when you message me on my Facebook page. Again, I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.